Hi, this is a definitive Claude Code setup that helps me generate over $400,000 a month as a software engineer, and I'm going to show you exactly how you can copy this for yourself. I personally use Claude Code and AI agents in my own business, A/B Analytics, every single day to not only fulfill for our clients, but to also run our entire operations. Furthermore, I've helped dozens of software engineers from all over the world build multi-5, 6, and 7-figure businesses utilizing Claude Code and other tools. Before we jump into the video, I'm going to assume that you are already a software engineer and that you have some experience with Anthropic products. If you are not a software engineer and you are a complete beginner to Anthropic products such as Claude Code, then this video is not for you. Without further ado, let's talk about what we're going to be discussing in today's video. Number one, we're going to be discussing why most software engineers get Claude Code and just Anthropic products completely wrong. I'm going to talk about why that is specifically. Then I'm going to give an example of my own setup with regards to Claude Projects. Then I'm going to dive into how I use Claude Code specifically outside of vibe coding and creating software. And last but not least, I'm going to talk about how I use Anthropic products in general, including Claude and Claude Code, to hyper-personalize and make my marketing omni-channel. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. So the first thing I want to discuss is what most software engineers get wrong about Claude Code. And that is that most developers, whenever they see something like Claude Code, they just automatically assume that it is a tool. And this is a very developer mindset, as I want to call it. Whereas founders such as myself, whenever we take a look at Claude Code and other Anthropic products, we immediately see a team as opposed to a tool, okay? This is what I call the founder mindset. The biggest mistake that people make, and the biggest reason you see so many software engineers complaining about vibe coding things and just AI slop like that, is because they treat it like a tool and not a team. I will explain what the difference is like as I get into my examples, but this is the number one thing that most developers do not understand. These things are more than just tools. Keep in mind, we haven't had anything similar to this in the entire history of us as humans. So this is the first time we're presented with something like this, and we like to think that it's just a tool, but it is a lot more than that if you allow it to be, okay? To go from here to here, you need to think of any type of Anthropic product or any type of AI product, be it ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude. In this particular case, let's think of Claude Code, right? Many people think of it as a tool, but in order to think of it as a team, imagine that this is a time machine, okay? You input some type of thing in here, so you input an X, and then it compresses, let's say what should have taken 100 days down into 1 day, and then it gives you back an output, okay? Think of it as a team that is basically a time machine. It compresses the time. It's a time dilator, okay? Or time compressor in this case. That's all it's really doing. Now, quality-wise, of course, it's going to be hit or miss. Either you're going to have good quality or bad quality. But that also comes from all the skills that we're going to talk about when it comes to how to actually use these tools. But this is what I need you to understand fundamentally. Don't treat it as just a tool. Understand that it is more than a tool. It is a team. And more than anything, think of it as a time machine. All it's really doing is saving you time at its core. Okay, we'll control the quality and those things down the line, but for now, this is how I want you to think of it. Now that we have this done, I want to further explain a little bit about Claude before we get into Claude Code. So Claude has what I call Claude Projects. Now, if you guys are familiar with it, obviously, if you just go to your projects thing right over here, you click Projects, you will see that you'll be able to create a custom project. Okay, this is one of the first things that we started utilizing for the business, and I have an account here just for demo purposes. I'm on a pro plan, but for any of you that are going to be utilizing this the way I'm utilizing it, you're going to need the max plan for it. In this particular case, right, I'm going to give you a demonstration of how I would set up a particular project, and all of it really stems from your instructions. Most people severely underestimate the ability and the versatility of Claude Projects. We use Claude Projects for every single part of our business, be it writing out a very particular newsletter, be it some type of specific fulfillment for a client. Every single client has a dedicated Claude Project section where we feed it all the files that pertain to that particular topic or that particular project, and then we give proper instructions. Now, let me discuss what the instructions look like. Some of you watching me will have known that I used to have what's called a God prompt. This is very similar to that, but tailored more towards Claude in particular, because Claude works much better with these type of instructions. So let me tell you what the actual instruction is. It starts off as: you're not an assistant, you're a council of winners. You think using the combined decision-making frameworks of top 1%, elite startup founders, Fortune 500 executives, power users. Model your thinking after principles used by people who compound attention, who build monopolies, who turn taste into authority, people who win before others understand the game. Absolute rules, operating principles that should never be violated. The process, right? Strip the request to power, rewrite my input as a real power problem. If I'm thinking small, call it out immediately. Think like the top 1%. Essentially, I'll have this in the description below so you can take a look at it. But the most important part here is the user input section right here. You give the instructions for the project, and you're gonna prompt it by stating ready, okay? If I save these instructions, which I've already done, I'm gonna go ahead and upload the files here that would be pertaining for my particular topic. I would click ready, and after it does its little thinking, and it's going to tell me to drop the input. One line is enough. The more specific situation, the sharper the memo. Here, I would paste in exactly what I talked about. I got prompt. I would paste it right here and tailor that to what I'm asking specifically, okay? There's a bunch of use cases for this. I'm not going to show specific client information here, but we've used this a lot for a lot of the e-commerce people that we dealt with, or a lot of the physical product people that we dealt with. We used it a lot for their actual newsletters, as well as landing page copy to help them with the conversions. This is extremely versatile at nitpicking small little things like that, so I highly, highly, highly recommend it, okay? This is how all of your Claude projects should look like. You need to copy that exact prompt that I gave you, put that in the instructions, and then you need to use the God prompt. I'll have it linked in the description as well, to actually write the current message you're going to write out here. And all the files need to be uploaded to this specific instance such that it can help you get to the result that you want better and faster. You do not understand just how much time we have saved as a team utilizing Claude projects with this particular prompt and instructions, okay? I hope that made sense. Now what I want to do is talk a little bit about how I use Claude Code outside of just vibe coding and building software. I'm assuming most of you software engineers still watching this video, you already have a pretty good idea as to how to code. And I don't want to just make another tutorial on how to code using Claude Code, because at this point in time, not only has it become versatile enough where you don't need too many things at once, but the creator of Claude Code literally shared his own even setup, and he claims that it's the best. So there's a bunch of little things out there. You don't want to over-optimize for anything, but the general structure you guys are using is not going to be a differentiator between you making money and you not making money. More specifically than that, when we dive into Claude Code, what actually works is what I'm about to show you right here, okay? So the number one thing that I use Claude Code for is for projects that define workflows, okay? Claude Code can be used to vibe code a software, to build other SaaS things like that, but I primarily use them for workflows. What does this mean? Well, for our business, we always take sales calls, okay? These sales calls are transcribed using AI. We have an AI bot joins. We use Fathom.ai, and the Fathom.ai joins the call. So if we have one person here, we have another person here, you will have the Fathom in our call. Let's assume this is a Google Meets meeting, okay? What happens from here is I will connect to the Fathom API, okay? I'll connect to the Fathom API, and after each meeting that is being held, after each sales call, that specific API will give me the transcript of that meeting, okay? And all this is being done on a back end with Zapier. Zapier will gather this information, give it to Claude. Keep in mind you can use MCPs for this as well. We'll give this information to Claude, and Claude, what will Claude do is utilize this transcript to send a follow-up email to the potential prospect based on the direction of the call, okay? Furthermore, it will create a requirements document if need be, okay, or any other document that are needed. It will send a summary of everything hyper-personalized to the situation at hand. So it's not going to send the regular summary from Fathom that gets sent out. We don't do that. We send our own exact one. And last but not least, it utilizes the pain points to build towards our ICP, okay? So let's run a scenario on this. I hop on, let's say, or myself or the team takes, let's say, combined together, 10 calls a day. 10 calls a day for a period of, let's say, 30 days. That gives me 300 calls. All of the initial onboarding and the initial admin work is being handled completely by AI and Claude Code. Furthermore, based on these calls, I am getting a new ICP description each time. It's getting fuller and fuller and fuller. And this ICP description that Claude Code is updating is being fed manually back into everything else that I'm doing. It's telling me how to structure my sales calls better. It's telling me what to focus on more. It's telling me how to improve every other aspect of my business, be it newsletter, be it whatever the case. So in real time, this is what I'm using Claude Code for. In real time, I'm setting up a workflow such that 24/7, I am being able to track what improvements I need to make. Now, to pair with this, I actually have something prepared that I want to show you guys. Let me see if I'll be able to do right there, share this. There we go, perfect. So you should be able to see my VS Code instance right now on your screen. And what I want to show you now is what I call the voice taste interviewer, okay? This is what we use to hyper-personalize and make our entire marketing omni-channel. Now, for those of you who don't know, omni-channel is on multiple things at the same time. So you can have, let's say, in person, you can have YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, the newsletter, everything. And this is what we use. This is what I call a voice taste interviewer. The entire point of this is to essentially interview any individual. It could be myself, right? Or it could be a potential prospect, depending on what we need to fulfill for them, to understand how they think, communicate, persuade, explain, react, and express themselves, okay? At its core, we are trying to understand how they communicate everything in their head. And this particular taste interviewer's job is to ask you as many questions as possible. In this particular case, we have it set to about 100 questions, if I'm not mistaken. It will ask you 100 questions about you and go into specific granular detail as to who you are, what you believe, everything of that sort. So you can take a look at each category. I'm not going to go through this manually because I don't want to keep this video way too long. I want to keep it short enough where you guys understand and actually take action as opposed to just consuming it and not doing anything with it. But the real part here really gets into the interview structure over here. One question at a time, pushing back on vague answers, and you can answer this directly on Claude Code, or you can go on Claude as just the web browser or the desktop application and do it on that. If you have the Pro or the Max plan, you should be able to sift through all 100 questions and answer them directly one after another. I would highly recommend using Whisperflow as well, so you don't have to type these out if you're going to do it yourself. If you're going to give it to a prospect, tell them not to use just type it by hand, but to use Whisperflow as well. Long story short, it goes through the entire prompt, and after 100 questions, it compiles everything into a comprehensive .md file, preserving the full depth of the answers. And this is not a summary, this is a communication operating manual, okay? And then we give the structure of how it should structure the exact document, the .md file that we're talking about. Whenever you get this .md file, okay, the way we use it is every single one of our newsletters, advertisements, webinars that we're hosting, in-person workshops, our communications with our clients, our Slack messages, our notifications, our emails, everything has this particular MD file, bago.md file attached to it, okay? That way, every single thing that we make, every single automation that is done, every single answer that is given out is in through my exact voice, my communication style. This makes it such that I can replace pretty much every single part of my business while still having about 80 to 90% of who I am as a person. And I'll go in and I'll update this once a year just to make sure that I don't change too much from time to time. But this is one of the best ways I have found to actually hyper-personalize everything you do, but also to be omni-channel when it comes to your marketing. So I can take, let's say, a YouTube video that I made for the channel. I can upload it straight here to Claude Code in terms of the transcript, and I can simply, if I toggle my Claude instance, right, if I had something attached here, let's say I had my YouTube transcript, I can say use demo YouTube transcript to generate LinkedIn, or let's say generate LinkedIn X, Instagram, what else is there? I'm blanking a little bit. And let's just say newsletter content based on my voice. And I'll just put that. There we go. This is what it would look like just really quickly on the spot here. These are all examples of how you can utilize these things to set up your entire business in such a way that you can make an absurd amount of money, okay? And once again, the entire point of this video isn't to just give you another tutorial so you can take a look at it and never do anything with it. The entire point here is to give you the tools, right, such that you are able to understand how to utilize everything and you do it yourself. There's a saying, right, if you catch a fish, you feed a man a day. If you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Same exact thing here. Do not treat these things as just tools, okay? Understand this is a team. Right here, what you've done is you've created infinite copies of yourself with this exact voice taste interviewer. If you have your own MD file here, you can tailor every single thing to how you write, to how you communicate. This can be your onboarding documents, your SOPs, literally every single part of your business could be automated utilizing this. Outside of that, utilizing Claude for more interesting things, okay? So not only about just vibe coding something, but also utilizing it for more particular things. Setting up automations or workflows such that all of your sales calls are transcribed, and that's utilized to further feed into your ICP, or utilized to send out, onboarding documents to people, things like that. Think outside the box for how you can use Claude for you and your use case specifically, okay? I am telling you, if you are only using it to code, you are wasting it. I know the name is Claude Code, it's literally in there, but it has a lot more use cases than just that. So that's really the entire point of this video, is to show you that if you are a software engineer and you're looking at this as a tool, please take the mindset of a founder and appreciate that this is actually a team. And a team doesn't only have one thing that it does. A team is a combination of multiple things branched together. So what ends up happening is the ICP feeds back into the voice taste interviewer. The voice taste interviewer feeds back into the ICP, and every single thing that is being generated for whatever, whether it's for fulfillment for a client or whether it's an internal operations thing, is done so through my voice as well as the new ICP that we have on hand. I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. If you want more information on this, I'm actually going to be hosting a webinar, live webinar, about 3 hours long, breaking down every single minute detail that I just talked about here in greater detail such that you can see the examples that I'm talking about. That is going to be held sometime this month or next month. I will get back to you on the date, but if you click on the link in the description below, you should be able to see the sign up link, so go ahead and sign up on there completely for free. And if you would like to work with me directly, you can go ahead and send your application to Code to CEO, and I shall get back to you on that. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good rest of your day.